without emotion.
Take that!
What? Are you saying you mean the Phantom is...
Detective Bobby Fulbright?
It was Phoenix, but he framed the guy. That would be brilliant. Exactly. We were all taken in by his fake persona. Detective Fulbright's real identity is the Phantom.
Order in the court. Mr. Wright, how could this be?
That's easy, Your Honor. It's a Phoenix Wright game, and I'm the main character, and I'm definitely right. Don't act surprised. It's happened at least 12 times that you know of. That's easy, Your Honor. Detective Fulbright was leading the 4th floor evacuation effort. Our first clue is that he made no attempt to have any other ladder put to use. The ladder in the robotics lab is the only one he ordered to be lowered. We know this because of the word of a person who is actually, at this very moment, keeping innocent people hostage and threatening to kill them. We can trust them implicitly. The second is that he directed everybody to the basement shelter via this ladder. Verily, it was all part of his plan to create an escape route. Fulbright's real name is The Phantom. Just like D Killer. After Detective Fulbright saw to it that the ladder was moved from the robotics lab, zoop, 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 he went to the lounge where he killed Clay Tarrant and escaped into the Space Museum. The museum started moving slowly, so he waited for the right time, got a running start, and just as the corridor was passing the ladder, he leaped onto it. Grr, I don't believe it. That addle-pated detective did all that? Was it really him? I mean, all this time, I thought... Sorry, we didn't catch your name.
My name? I'm Bobby Fulbright, the heroic detective who defends our good citizens from evil, the champion of justice who comes running whenever you're in need. And my catchphrase? It's in just us we trust.
Then, his concern for Simon was also all just one big act?
I swore to reform Prosecutor Blackwell and make him a valued member of society again. So I can't just sit by and watch him give in to his emotions and tear the defendant apart.
That monster killed Clay? He had me completely fooled. This would be the first time that they've done this and had somebody who seemed really good turn out to be really bad, right? Have we had that happen any other time? I guess there's the second game. What's his name? Beep boop. Refreshing like a spring breeze. That guy. Matt on guard. Come to think of it, he's the one who brought that blood-stained lighter to court, too. The scumbag even made me turn on Athena. Damn it, how the hell did I fall for all that? For him to have wormed his way into the police department as well. Ugh. Your Honor, the defense demands to question Detective Bobby Fulbright.
Yes, I agree that we need to hear from him right away. The court will take a short recess, and then Detective Fulbright will take the stand.
Bruce Wayne is the mask. Bruce Wayne is Batman's secret identity. Thank you so much, Mr. Wright. If it wasn't for everything you did, I... Don't thank me yet. We still have an uphill battle to fight. You got it, boss. For example, if I run out of lawyer energy, we'll still find you guilty somehow. Apollo. Ugh. Well, this is awkward. Athena, can you do me a favor? Huh? What is it? could you punch me? This trope. Why should I do that? Because I should have believed in you. I let the seed of doubt get inside I let the seed of doubt inside me get the best of me. And I believed evidence. Lawyers should never do... I'm really sorry that I didn't Ow! Don't be such a dope. I was really touched by what you did. Huh? Now what are you talking about? I want to believe in Athena. I really do. But what is faith without doubt? That's why I need to question her guilt. So that once the truth finally comes out, I can really fully trust her. You took the time and effort to genuinely think about who I am and what I'm made of. After all that, how could I punch a true friend like you, Apollo? Didn't you? You didn't have any trouble, slapping him. That's not a punch. How can she slap? Turns out the Riddler is Batman. Thanks, Athena, and thanks for waking me up to reality again. Guess I know now who to call if I ever get sleepy in court. It looks like you have some promising young people working under you. Edgeworth. Yeah, I think they're pretty great myself, and they're not afraid to keep me in line. Anyway, I have some very good news. Aura Blackquill has surrendered, and the hostages have been set free. Trucy and all the others? Oh, thank goodness. Ms. Blackquill said she had something she really needed to do, so I granted her special permission to do what she must. I wonder what it is, and I wonder why you granted it to her. Also, she's here right now. You literally had a gun to my daughter's head 15 minutes ago. What are you doing here? Ms. Blackquill. I guess it wasn't a gun, it was a robot. You had a robot to my daughter. I didn't come to apologize, if that's what you're thinking. My actions are what allowed the truth of what happened 7 years ago to come to light, and the ends justify the means. Even when it's threatening to kill a small child. But I did come because I had something to say to all of you. Ms. Aura. She better not be here to complain about something. Ms. Blackquill, I want to apologize to you. The fact that you couldn't trust the court system is our fault. Yes, it's true the courts are filled with incompetent idiots. Still, I suppose I could let you handle the rest of this case for me. Oh, Ms. Aura, does this mean you're starting to trust the system again? No, of course not. Be quiet, hunk of junk. It's just, I wouldn't mind if you were the ones who took Metis' killer down. Leave it to us. We'll get him. So I guess that means she's starting to trust us, at least. Aura. Simon, I'm so glad both you and the princess were cleared of all suspicion. And it's all thanks to me and my robots. And guns and violence. And threatening children. You'd better be grateful. I never imagined you would go that far, though you always were extreme. But I don't recall ever requesting your help. As closed as ever, I see. Well, now that you've been released, I guess it's my turn to go live in the slammer. I just hope you're not the prosecutor for my trial. You'd probably give me the death penalty. You know me all too well. I guess love can take on a variety of expressions, including stunted in their case. But I truly was about to be executed tomorrow. Though because of you, it looks like I won't be crossing the Styx just yet. You have my heartfelt thanks, Aura. I'm sorry I caused you so much anguish. Nonsense. Nonsense. The prosecutors decide everything. The judge gives the opening statement. Simon. which he actually did for all of his every case that's had Blackwell as the prosecutor. He's been like, Judge, you give the opening statement for the prosecution. I don't want to. Oh, to end my tears. She's crying now. I'm so glad, Simon. So very glad to hear you say that. Aura. All right. That's enough of that. Bailiff, take me to the detention center. That's the judge's job, not the bailiff. What Miss Blackwell did was inexcusable. But it's clear she did it out of love for her brother, so I excuse her. I still can't wrap my mind around Detective Fulbright being the Phantom. I can't believe he killed Clay. Right, and murdered my mentor, which brought great distress upon little Athena. Chief Prosecutor. Yes? I would ask a favor. Would you allow me to stand at the prosecutor's bench for this trial? I wish to claim the Phantom's head by my own hand. That was my plan all along. After all, it's highly unconventional for a man of my position to stand in court. Only actual convicted murderers should do that. The formal paperwork has yet to be filed, but you are hereby conditionally released. Please take the prosecutor's bench in your official capacity and uncover the truth by your own hand. The prosecutor definitely doesn't get to kill the guilty. He uses a sword in court. He's been handcuffed for all of the trials, and he breaks the handcuffs and then sicks a hawk on people while throwing knives and slashing them with a katana. That is what we've come to in the Phoenix Wright universe. Remember the quaint old days when we were merely whipped? I'm much obliged. The day to part with these has come at last. Chief Prosecutor, could you? Of course, as the prosecutor, I have the key to your handcuffs. Dots, dots, dots. How long have I waited? Maybe it's the sense of freedom, but even the air seems fresher, the light brighter. And I will relish slashing that blackguard Fulbright to shreds without mercy. I don't have to be able to read his heart to see how happy he is. I'm so glad. But I won't cry just yet. After all, we've still got a trial to finish. It's okay to cry, Athena, I promise. Prosecutor Blackwell, Mr. Wright, please avenge Clay's death for me. What are you talking about, Apollo? You're coming to the defense's bench with me. I am? Well, I can't expect Athena to assist me now, can I? She's the defendant. That leaves you, Apollo. But, are you sure you want me? I took a leave of absence and everything. Well, our office is pretty short-handed, and you're all I've got. Also, it is kind of understood that when you take a leave of absence, you can come back. Otherwise, it's called quitting, which you didn't do. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Apollo. Athena, I can say with all my heart now. I believe in your complete innocence, and now we're going to prove it to the world. Thank you, Apollo. I know you can do it.
So, you won't be needing that eye patch anymore, right? Right, because I'm fine now.
Because I'm Daijobu. Yes, there have been a few. There was a voiced opening cutscene, and then every trial they've had like one or two. Now this is the Apollo I know. Welcome back, Apollo. What parallel universe? Were they not voiced in the... This is the Android version. No, they must have been. It's the same... They were voiced in the original, right? What was the original? DS? 3DS. It's almost time for the trial to restart, though it looks like you have things well in hand. Yep. I should head back to the prosecutor's office. But why? I want to look into a few things, namely... the first people on the scene 7 years ago, the facial data registered by the robot, and Detective Fulbright's background. Sounds great, Edgeworth. Thanks. I expect to be repaid with a victory, Mr. Wright. Now, if you'll excuse me. Oh yeah, the original was actually on the Game Boy Advance. And then was ported to the DS, which is when they added Case 1.5. And then several others were on the DS. This was the first one on the 3DS? No. Yes, I think. This was the first one on the 3DS, but I'm not playing the 3DS version, I'm playing the Android version. Okay, you two all set to go? You bet I am. Let's do this. Android version, yes. I actually legitimately purchased it through the what do you call it? The Google Play Store, and I'm running it through an Android emulator called BlueStacks. This is it. The final battle. The murder of Apollo's friend. The courtroom bombing incident. And the case that ushered in the dark age of the law 7 years ago. Is BlueStacks bad? I have no idea. It's the only emulator I've tried. And it's working. Unlike the 3DS emulator that I was originally trying to use, which did not work. Not with this game. Destiny has called us to bring the one responsible for it all to justice today. I think there still is no English translation of the, what is it, 6th game in the series? The Great Ace, whatever it's called? The Great Ace Attorney? There's one more game that was on the 3DS and that has an Android port, and I'm going to be playing that. But I think the most recent Phoenix Wright game actually never was translated to English, which is really too bad. Maybe we'll play it anyway. Let us now reconvene. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution has never been more ready. You know, this is the first time we've been at the defense bench together since I debuted. Now that you mention it, well, back then, I thought you were more loud than you were reliable. You've really come a long way since then, Apollo. You've grown a lot. Well, there have been some hiccups, but I guess I've done pretty well. He's still got that ego of his, though. Prosecutor Blackwell, with the 7-year mistake now resolved in a few hours and one afternoon, in an unofficial court, you can finally take your rightful place. Yes, I guess we can keep the chit-chat for later. Bailiff, please bring in the witness immediately. Even with those handcuffs off, Prosecutor Blackwell seems to be pretty much the same. 7 years of grumpiness doesn't go away so easily, I guess. So this is, of course, weird, because it's not like either one of us are prosecuting or defending anything here. The prosecutor is absolutely not trying to prove that it's Athena, but we're still defending her. And if we run out of lawyer energy, she's still the one who will be found guilty.
Bobby Fulbright here. I heard I was needed on the stand, so here I am. Detective Fulbright, do you know why you have been called to give testimony? Yep, because there's only one reason I'd be called. And that is because it's time for justice. In just us we trust.
Objection!
You can't fool us with that act anymore. Your justice is nothing but lies. What? Are you questioning the integrity of my sense of justice? I mean, sure, sometimes I make mistakes, but hey. He's acting exactly the same as always. Tell me about it. He must be feeling awfully confident. We could still be wrong. He could actually... He might not be the real murderer either. This might not be an act, and we're going to be terrible people and tell him, you're a psychopath pretending to be a nice person. For the past 7 years, also a murderer, also a double murderer, and a bomber, and a spy. Fulbright, if you wish to dispel our suspicions, then let's get to your testimony. It's still... I hadn't even thought of that. I was so, like... It was such an interesting twist that I go, maybe it actually was Candace Arm. Maybe it was. We'll see. All right, fine. You want me to prove my righteousness? I can certainly do that. The embodiment of justice. I am the very embodiment of justice itself. I won't have you make me into a villain with your far-fetched arguments. And this bit about the escape route is only a theory. You don't have any proof. What we do have is proof that Athena Sykes is the culprit. This lighter with her prints on it. So you're saying the suspicions against you are completely false? And that the defendant is the real culprit? That's right. Mr. Lawyer's escape route is totally circumstantial. He doesn't have any proof that I made a big leap onto a ladder. We don't have any proof. You are correct about that. However, you don't have any proof for your claim either. Yeah, I guess you're right. But you can't define justice with evidence. Who can define it anyway? Justice just is.
Objection!
Don't make me break out a dictionary on you. Ah, please don't throw the book at me. Oh, tell me the family didn't just make me set up a stupid pun for him. Let's just try not to lose focus, alright? But my justice is crystal clear. What's not clear are your eyes. Wake up and smell the justice.
Silence!
Do you smell what the just are cooking? Enough of your rubbish, Fulbright. If you have even an ounce of justice, then you will answer the court's questions and prove it. Prosecutor Blackwell. Prosecutor Blackwell looks torn. Well, Fulbright was his partner after all. Going to believe his jacket has 6 badges, attorney badges on it. He's the world's first sextuple attorney. Even more on the sleeves. Yeah, did you see the guy with all the stars from the last case? He had like a badge with stars on it and stars on both sleeves and stars on his shoulders, and then they all flew off. Prosecutor Blackwell is right. The truth will be revealed in I almost said in the class examination. Like we're still in the class trial. The cross-examination. The suspicions against Detective Fulbright are at this point only suspicions. As is my duty, I will judge the claims against the detective as impartially as I can. Does anyone have any objections? That's fine, Your Honor. Now ask away, and don't hold back. Well, there don't appear to be any objections. Very well, Mr. Wright. Please, begin your cross-examination. Alright, nobody cares. Nobody cares. This bit about the escape.
Hold it!
Then please tell us more about the circumstances surrounding the ladder. Yeah, I see what you mean. Badge. Dodecatuple attorney. Well, I'd much rather expound upon the topic of justice, but all right. Let's see. What should I ask about? Aura. Please tell the court what you remember about Ms. Blackwell at the time. She appeared to be really angry that the bombing commotion was disrupting her work. She even threw a robot at me. Yikes. I hope it wasn't poor Clonko. This is very important information, isn't it? I'll just add this statement then. Why don't you let me decide that?
Hold it!
This doesn't sound important, but I'll ask anyway. I'm beginning to wonder, is Miss Blackwell ever not crabby? Well, they already took her down to the station, so it was a bit late to ask her now. Just my opinion, but maybe it's best we don't ask her about that. Ever. Should I try asking the detective something else? Let's proceed with your testimony, shall we? Looks like he's sticking with Athena as the culprit. Ugh. And it doesn't help that he has the evidence. Let's press him on everything until he cracks. Is that...
Hold it!
Alright, let's switch this over to the lab. Please tell us anything you remember about the lab. The lab, huh? Well, it was so messy there was hardly anywhere to step. his face. Plenty of faces in this game. I guess they were in the middle of building a giant robot. Yeah, that's pretty much how it looked when we visited this afternoon, too. Okay, I know the drill. You want me to swap this statement into my testimony, don't you? What? No, way ahead of you. I'll just swap it in.
Hold it!
Oh, is this relevant? You aren't fooling anyone. You chose the ladder in that very room on purpose to create your escape route. That's not true. It's just that when it comes to ladders, I'm very particular. I had a good feeling about that ladder. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Did I mess up somewhere along the way? Whatever. Zoop, zoop, zoop.
Hold it!
Back to pressing on the first things. Maybe we do have to press on everything. The embodiment of justice, those are just empty words. But they say if you keep saying something, it can eventually become the truth. Isn't that how people make their dreams come true, too? By wishing over and over? Alright, alright. Let's just move on.
Hold it!
Villain with far-fetched arguments. My arguments are hardly far-fetched. There's careful reasoning behind my theory. Yes, well, apparently there's reasoning behind even a tofu burger. What? What? But what we have against Ms. Sykes, though, is not reasoning, but solid evidence. And it's called the lighter, with Ms. Sykes' fingerprints on it in the victim's blood. Yes, that's true, but wait. Detective Fulbright was the one who brought that evidence to the trial. If you harbor any suspicion, I suggest you ask Fulbright right to know. Especially about that lighter. He's right. But what exactly should I ask about? Please tell the court about the position of the prints on the lighter. They're around the same spot on either side as it would be if she were holding it up. I suppose if it was used to light the room, it would be held that way. Could you please add that statement to your testimony? The prints were... It's just... Are her prints not on the top, like she didn't light it? Somebody else lit it?
Hold it!
Yes, Miss Blackwell did mention she saw a lit lighter being held up. Yup, meaning the person Ms. Blackwell saw was the owner of the fingerprints. It just strengthens the argument against Ms. Sykes. Or no, that it was lit. It was lit to begin with, but there are no prints on it because the person was wearing gloves, or they wiped the lighter down, and then Athena later picked it up, but didn't light it. Line of question is conviction land. Press on like this. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Well, plus we always, I mean, it's one of those Phoenix Wright things where, like, you can pick up fingerprints off of anything. It's like, okay, realistically, if somebody picked up a lighter, maybe you could get prints off a lighter, I don't know. Alright, so can I... Oh, I wonder if it's gonna be the prints from her right hand. Is that it?
Hold it!
Maybe I have to say the number of prints. They specifically said which hand, so I think that's how we're gonna get it. Yeah, exactly. There's so many. You can't usually get fingerprints off of just anything. What was the case 1-5 where it was, oh, we got the fingerprints because she shoved the guy and he was wearing a leather jacket, and they kept the piece of leather like in a safe for 7 years or something. And they're like, but we still have it, and it's still like if I submit it as evidence, it'll have her fingerprints on it. It'll have her fingerprints, like, commemorated in leather forever because of one shove. How many prints were found exactly? 3. The thumb. There you go. The thumb, the index finger, and the middle finger of a right hand. Your Honor, that is an important statement. Could we please have it swapped into my testimony? You got it. He beat me to it. Ha ha ha, be it investigating or testifying, speed is the key. Yep. There's our evidence. She said they were holding the lighter in their left hand. Oh, why can't I? Present, there we go.
Objection!
I object. You say the prints were from a right hand, is that correct? That's right, very clear prints. But that just doesn't add up. Huh? What doesn't add up? According to Ms. Blackwell, who saw the culprit herself, this person held the lighter in their left hand. Oh? So here is the dilemma before us. Why are the prints on the lighter from a right hand instead of a left? Ah! You're right. It doesn't make sense, does it? Your Honor, this lighter can hardly be called incriminating evidence. The witness's claims don't even hold water. Detective Fulbright, I hope you have a good explanation for this. I just can't understand it. They're definitely right-hand prints. But then, why are they inconsistent with Miss Blackwell's statement? I've got it. What have you got, Detective? The mirror. The witness must have seen the reflection of the culprit in a mirror. Go on. Ms. Blackwell was looking in through the window of boarding lounge 1, wasn't she? I believe so. If you mean the little window in the back and to the right of the room. That's right, and across the room on the opposite wall is a large mirror. I do remember seeing it. Ah, so are you saying?
Yes, the culprit Ms. Blackwell saw must have been a reflection of that person in the mirror. Oh, I see. In that case, right and left would appear reversed, wouldn't they? Now do you see? That's the logic of pure justice.
Objection!
But your argument is only conjecture. You don't have any proof that what Ms. Blackwell saw was a reflection. Right, Dunno. You'd sooner nick yourself than him like that. Put more muscle into it. Huh? That's right. Besides, the lighter couldn't have been in the left hand. And why not? Ms. Blackwell said she saw an Earth emblem on the lighter, didn't she? That emblem is only on one side of the... What? Also, how did she see... Like, realistically, how would you have seen that? Exactly, as blank and smooth as the judge's fine scalp. If the culprit had held the lighter in their left hand, they would have covered the emblem. Can't you hold it either way? Uh-oh. What's more, this is the kind of lighter you flick open with your thumb before lighting, so if the culprit had held it in their left hand with the emblem out and visible, they wouldn't have been able to open it, let alone light it. But if they had held it in their right hand, they could easily open it and light it. This all means that the culprit was definitely holding the lighter in the right hand. No, so that's... But is that good for us or bad? I don't know. DJ Solheim, how you doing? It appears you've planted a flower that bears no fruit. See how it withers before my flower of justice? He's tough. He managed to discredit almost everything I've proven up to this point. In just us we trust. Now do you see? I'm not this phantom you've been talking about. I mean, are you sure there really is a spy? I bet they're just a figment of your imagination. Oh, it's sad. So very sad. But I'm afraid Miss Sykes is the culprit. Awesome.
Hold it!
Now what? Detective Fulbright, I believe you said that the emblem is only on one side of the lighter. Are you sure about that? Of course I'm sure. Why don't you take a look for yourself and see? Do you see an Earth emblem on both sides of the lighter? I knew it. You're lying, detective. Pardon me? You mean... Yes, my bracelet reacted to his statement about the emblem. He's definitely hiding something big. I think if we used my talent, we might be able to figure it out. Justice, Dunno, are you to use that cheat of yours again? It's not cheating, Professor Blackwell, it's magic. I mean, it's nanomachines. I mean, it's parasites. Very well. Whether I like it or not, I suppose we should use whatever works right now. Go on, then. We have Prosecutor Blackwell's reluctant blessing, apparently. Okay, Apollo, you're up. Here goes, then. Detective Fulbright, could you repeat that last statement one more time? What in the world are you up to? All right, fine. I'll say it as many times as you like. Listen carefully. Shouldn't this not work on him if he doesn't have any emotional whatever? The Earth emblem is... Oh, okay. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
So what we're doing here is Apollo has the ability to see very, very minor, like, tells, basically. It's probably going to be something on his face, right? It's like his ear or his eyebrow or something. Or his nose. When he says a certain part of the sentence. Okay. Apparently not. Is it going to be one of his hands then? Listen again. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. I wasn't in time. We gotta wait for it to repeat. It was when he says the Earth emblem, his thumb twitches. Is it not an Earth emblem? Is it something else? Gotcha! You moved your thumb. You're the real killer. Detective Fulbright, you might not be aware of it yourself, but whenever you say the phrase the Earth emblem, your left thumb moves. In fact, it appears as though you're running it along the edge of your holster. Mr. Lawyer, I don't have the foggiest notion of what you're talking about. Be that as it may, I know it has something to do with the lighter. Let me examine it. But why? You're not making any sense. You can't just... Silence! You can't just look at evidence. Be still and do as you're told, Fulbright. If you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't mind them having a look-see, should you? What? Not you too, Prosecutor Blackwell. I'm not sure what this is all about, but if Prosecutor Blackwell insists, it must be something important. I will allow the defense to examine the lighter. Good. Now maybe we'll learn something new. I hope so. Let's check every inch of this thing. Oh, there are... Okay, those are some very distinct prints, actually. I wasn't thinking that they were quite so, what do you call it? Is this a tennis ball? I can tell if the prints are from a right hand or a left just by looking. I don't think looking at each print with the naked eye will tell us anything new, but this letter definitely hides a secret. I agree, let's check it carefully. There's a moon here in relief. I guess it's designed to go with the Earth. If anything is suspicious about the letter, it's probably in this area. I don't see anything odd about this, though. There's no New Zealand! There's no New Zealand on the Earth. That's the problem. This is not an accurate map of the world on this lighter. So this is the Earth emblem Detective Fulbright was talking about. See anything noteworthy? Huh? Hey, look at this. The emblem's actually some kind of button. Ho ho! That's the 10 caliber gun. And yes, I have heard of that subreddit. It transformed into something. A handle? A trigger? What could this be? I've never seen anything that looks like this before. There's no question, it seems. What you have there is a gun. A what? A gun. So that's it. Your Honor, please recall this morning's trial when Director Cosmos was on the stand. The bullet that hit the oxygen tank was extremely small, maybe a 10 caliber. Try to light your cigar and blow your face clean off. Like Looney Tunes. This little compact gun probably takes bullets of that caliber. It looks like this is the gun that was fired at the scene. I'm flabbergasted. The lighter was a gun? So when Detective Fulbright would touch his holster, that's right, whenever he mentioned the Earth emblem, he must have subconsciously thought about the secret behind the lighter. In other words, he knew it was a gun from the very beginning. A lighter that transforms into a gun seems like a spy gadget to me. It's not the kind of thing any ordinary person can get their hands on. In fact, I'd say it's strictly in the domain of elite spies. Detective Fulbright, you will explain yourself. There's nothing for me to explain. I didn't know the lighter could transform. I mean, it was found in the Space Museum, and then I brought it straight in. I didn't even have time to check it out.
Objection!
Whenever you mentioned the Earth emblem, you touched your holster. You subconsciously did that because you knew it was a gun. I can submit this as evidence, because I have a magic bracelet. Parasites. Genetics. Accuse me all you want, but where is your proof? Do you have any evidence that I knew the lighter was a gun? Not exactly, and by not exactly, I mean not at all. And whose prints are on it? Miss Sykes' prints. It proves that she's the culprit who fired the gun at the scene. Alright. It would appear that the detective is right. Are you guys really trying to prove your client innocent, or what? Although it pains me to do this, now that we are where we are, I have to make the following assertions coming from the prosecution's side. The person who fired the gun at Director Cosmos in the lounge after the incident, and the person Ms. Blackquill saw holding the lighter, and the person who murdered Mr. Terran, and the person who bombed the Space Center, are all the defendant, Athena Sykes. The prints on the lighter are decisive proof. No! Now do you see? A man on the side of justice couldn't possibly be the culprit. And I think this about sums up Ms. Sykes' part in the whole affair. The evidence certainly does point to the defendant's guilt. Do you have anything to say, Prosecutor Blackquill? Evidence is everything in court, therefore Fulbright's claims stand firm. But, calm down, Apollo. He's just saying that because he has to as the prosecutor. Mr. Lawyer, our job is to pursue criminals in the name of justice. You shouldn't cast suspicion on people based on something as dubious as a habit. In fact, you have a bad habit of showing up in court with an awful case of bedhead.
Objection!
Says the man who wears sunglasses at night. If you want proof, it's proof you'll get. Well, it's so he can watch you weave and breathe your stormy lies? Is that the lyrics? Does anybody know the lyrics? Don't masquerade in the guy in shades of night. I'll prove that this lighter is not Ms. Sykes, but yours. Sounds like you've hit on something, Apollo. It's just, if the prints on the lighter are the basis for accusing Athena, I think we should reconsider the credibility of the evidence itself. You mean, you think this lighter might be forged evidence? That's right. It could all be part of Fulbright's bigger plot. Did he do anything out of the ordinary while I was off on my own? I can definitely think of a few things. It is indeed. Have a look at this. What's this? A lighter? Detective, we'd like to run a comparison on some prints we found in the boarding lounge. Ah, yes. I just happen to have compiled the print data of everyone related to this case. I can always make another copy for myself, so it's all yours. Consider it a gift. If we assume he's been laying a big trap for us all along, there's gotta be something off about this piece of evidence. What's wrong with the lighter as a piece of evidence? How the prints were left on it? Because they're prints in blood. And why would they have blood? Why would they have blood on... Why would the person have blood on their hands before they held the lighter? No, I guess I don't see anything strange about how the prints were left on the lighter. Nothing unusual about the angle of the prints or how they're patchy in places, but... Oh, alright, so that was wrong. Where the prints are? Anything odd about where the prints are? No, I guess if it was fired as a gun, that's about where the prints would be, but... Wow, okay. Are they really Athena's fingerprints? They definitely matched her print data. But what about the data itself? Detective Rollboy, you were the one who provided us with the lighter and print data. Isn't that correct? Yes. What about it? You say Ms. Sykes' prints matched the print data. But I have to wonder, was the data you used official? Mr. Wright, are you suggesting that the evidence might have been fabricated? I guess there's only one way to find out. Let's re-examine the prints. Using the official sanctioned print data of the people involved in this case. What? You dare insult the epitome of justice and integrity? There's no need for such antics.
Silence!
Your Honor, I lend my voice to the defense's request. You must allow the test to be rerun. Very well then, bailiff. Ah, it appears that the official data is here. And the results? It's just as the defense claims. This proves that the prints on the lighter do not belong to the defendant. Yes. The fingerprints actually belong to the victim, Mr. Clay Taryn. Lighter updated, it was Clay's fingerprints. Getting the official print seems more like something that should be the prosecutor's job. They were Clay's fingerprints on the lighter. Ah, I see. Come to think of it. Wasn't it you, Fulbright, who collected the victim's prints? I personally removed his glove during the investigation. We had to get his fingerprints to confirm his identity, after all. When you took the deceased's fingerprints, you could have easily planted his prints on the lighter with his blood, after which you wiped the blood off of his hand. Oh, okay. Alright. By your own admission, you were also the one who compiled the phony print data, all to put the blame on Ms. Sykes. This is remarkably easy. Like, he's guilty now. We don't need anything else. This ploy must have been to distract us from the Phantom who was behind everything. You were out to create the impression that the Phantom wasn't the true culprit. So does this mean Detective Fulbright really is the Phantom? Remember the killer's escape route. No ordinary person would have been fearless enough to attempt it. Nobody but the Phantom, the man with no emotions, could have done it. Nobody in the whole world. People can't do amazing things ever. Nobody can beat Super Mario Bros. Warpless in under 19 minutes. No one would even try. It would be too scary. Ah! Detective Fulbright, you were the only one who could have used that escape route. Ah! Fulbright, are you really the Phantom? Answer me, or so help me I will slash you to tiny slivers where you stand. Nog! Alright, I'll talk. I confess. I'm not the Phantom.
Silence!
It's all over. Now be a man and admit it already. But I'm not a spy. I'm an undercover investigator.
I've actually been after the Phantom myself. An undercover investigator? That sounds less than wholesome to me. What's not wholesome? What? What? What do you mean? How is that less than wholesome? A person who hides his identity and secretly investigates in order to uncover information. And that's what you really are, Fulbright. That's right. I doubt that. Press X to doubt. I was working to track down the Phantom, but sadly, even though I was supposed to catch the spy ended up catching me. He took my family hostage and forced me to cooperate with him. What?
Objection!
You're telling us this now? But if what you say is true, then who was that masked man? Who was the mystery person Ms. Blackwell and Mr. Starbuck saw? It was the Phantom, I tell you. All I did was help him by having that emergency ladder lowered for him.
Objection!
I don't believe you. Then how do you explain the fabricated lighter? Oh no. Wait, nobody close enough to the Super Mario Brothers thing? Because I actually did just watch a thing last night. Summoning Salt, which is a great YouTube channel if you're into speedrunning at all. He does progression videos on world record speedruns where he goes, this is the earliest known world record, and then goes over every single time that the world record was beaten, up to the present. And the most recent video that he just put out yesterday was about the Super Mario Brothers 1 warpless speedrun, where you can't take the warp pipes. And, like, he made the video in response to somebody a couple weeks ago actually getting sub 19. Like 1859 point whatever seconds. That was also one of the Phantom's demands. Being the detective in charge of the case, it was easy for me to fabricate evidence. Pinning the crime on Athena Sykes was just another one of the Phantom's orders. And you expect me to buy that? Fulbright, what was the Phantom's ultimate objective? I was told it was to sabotage the rocket launch. Someone who didn't want the launch to happen. Someone who didn't want the launch to happen must have given him the order. Yeah, Cosmic, that's the guy's name. And it was, I think it was just in August that it happened. Or very recently, at any rate. Actually, I have to apologize to you two. The Phantom told me to get close to you. He ordered me to get back that psych profile you have on him. So he sent a buzzard of his own to tail me this past year, did he? I haven't been a champion of justice. I've just been a pawn of evil. A pawn of the Phantom who stole the moon rock and killed Dr. Sykes 7 years ago. Enough, Fulbright. Just tell us the Phantom's true identity. I don't know. He was very careful to hide it. He has top secret information for all kinds of corporations and countries. So there's a number of organizations that want him dead. If people believed I was the Phantom, I could be killed on the spot. Why, I bet even now. There are assassins lurking nearby. This case is about the Phantom after all. I've lost his voice now that I've had to voice him so much. It was more, in justice we trust, and I'm losing it. With the ceiling blown off, I suppose you are vulnerable to a sniper's shot in this courtroom. Just 2 seconds ago, Fulbright was treating Athena like a criminal. Does he really think he's going to lie his way out of it now? But on the surface, he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But on the surface, everything does seem to make sense. This could be bad, Mr. Wright, if we can't find a flaw in his logic. He's right. After we come all this way, we can't let Fulbright wiggle out of this wiggle free now. So, I think that Fulbright is really the Phantom. Why would Phoenix be so sure, though? He doesn't have any way of knowing. There, I finally told the truth. Now I hope you see how foolish it was to think I was the Phantom.